Oh, what's your website? The Kali Retreat website, so I can pull it up.
It's Kali, and then this line, and then academy.co.
All right, cool. Here we go. All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. Good to be here with you all, making sure that we're solid on the stream. Okay, we are live. So I just want to say hello to everybody. So glad to be here with you guys and back with the YouTube channel because yesterday I went live with my journey on Egypt, and today we're going live again. And it's been about 2 solid months of hardly even going live at all. So it feels good just to be connecting with the community again and bringing all types of various broadcasts and expanding the information and awareness that we're bringing on Portal to Ascension. As a lot of you guys know, we do a lot on extraterrestrials, ancient history, information on the evolution of consciousness. And today is something a little different that I'm excited to bring because I've attempted to bring forward this awareness before, 5 to 8 years ago, a few different times, and it really did not. I would say it really didn't do as well as I thought it would on our platform, and I realize now that the reason why it didn't do so well is maybe the collective one wasn't ready for it, but two, I wasn't ready for it. The where I was coming from, this information, some of which is going to be shared today, was from a place of wounds and traumas without doing the inner work to really focus on it and to really understand what it means to be me inside my body and how I can work through these traumas of childhood to be an empowered individual and move forward with that. So as you guys can see from the title of this stream, this is Demystifying Tantra, exploring the deeper wisdom beyond misconceptions. Okay. And this is going to be amazing because I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there, I'm Indian from India, from where Tantra is. And I had a misconception about it until less than a year ago. So I'm sure a lot of you out there maybe have only heard a little bit about it or think it's one thing where it's really, it's hard to define one, but it goes beyond what we have been taught or what has been nitpicked for the Western world for us to perceive it as, if that makes any sense. So today I'm bringing on Isabell Froe, who I'm excited to bring on and introduce you onto this platform because Isabell and I have been working together since November last year. So before we get into Isabell taking over and helping us demystify Tantra, I want to tell you about my connection and how this all came about. November last year, I went to a retreat, which was Kali Tantra retreat, level 1 in Mexico, in Tulum. And when I was in this retreat, all these wounds started coming up. These, confidence wounds, how to interact and communicate with women, issues from my childhood with my parents was coming up. And it brought so much to the surface that after this retreat, I didn't feel so empowered. I felt very vulnerable, and that things that I were not addressing were there, and I was kind of judging it and judging myself. So I decided to continue with Isabell as one-on-one sessions with her. And we were doing around, I think, started with 1 a week, ended up becoming 2 a week, or like 4 to 5 hours a week for a few months of tantric work. And we spent within the 5-6 months, we went and spent 1 whole week in the jungle together in Tulum doing tantric work. We spent 3 or 4 days in the beautiful countryside of Hamburg, Germany together doing this work. And I've had the opportunity to shift a lot of things in my life and really focus on really shed away the layers of trauma that was holding me back to fully be myself through doing this work. So it's been so profound that I want to contribute towards Isabell's mission because she's honestly one of the most amazing people I've ever met and had the opportunity to connect with. So now we've come together. So here's full circle. So now we've come together and we are creating a retreat in Mexico. She does many retreats throughout the year. She does teacher training and also level 1 courses, but we're going to be coming together to create level 2 Tantra level 2 Tantra retreat. And I just want to show you really quick the website here. And what we're going to be doing is, if you look on my YouTube and you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're live on multiple platforms right now, but on youtube.com/portal to ascension, we have a few stories coming out with tools and techniques of embodying the masculine energy, the feminine energy, and other tantric techniques. And also we have 2 streams that are going to be going out speaking about Tantra and this work. And today's one of them. The second one's going to be October 29th. So I really recommend you guys just to tune into this, because as I said at the end of the first retreat, like with teary eyes, is like, wow, I finally, after hundreds of modalities, I finally see a way out for liberation for humanity. And this is the work that Isabell does. So if you are looking for that way out of liberation, or if you want to embody the tools and techniques to be able to be a beacon of liberation for others, right? This is truly where it's at. So kali-academy.co is the website. And scroll here, learn about Isabell, and learn about what Kali Tantra is. And then also check out the retreat pages, where we have, not only does she have level 1 coming up in a couple months, but also level 2, where I'll be there as well. And tune into all this. So I'm sure after Isabell presents today, she'll probably talk about it as well and kind of give you some insight on what you can experience. So, okay, that was a lot. So without any further ado, I want to hand it over to my really good friend, Isabell. Isabell.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Neil, for introducing this all. And well, yeah, I love just how we called the whole call, which is demystifying Tantra. And it's so funny because you somehow can get closer to what Tantra really is in a graspable sense, but you cannot without practicing it, right? So it's a mystic. It is a mystic, but at the same time, you can feel its raw potential inside of you directly. So before I speak too much about that, I really want to shed some light into what we are really doing when we speak about tantric work. And I think also in our email, we were just stating, the misconceptions about it being a sexual practice and all of these kind of things. And also the way of saying, okay, Tantra is really the fastest path to self-liberation. So we want to shed a little bit of light into all of these corners. I'm not speaking too much about myself, because I think the most important is right now to get a little bit of a sense what Tantra is about. And just to say that there are so many different streams and so many different lineages with so many different influences, so you cannot really grasp it in the sense of, okay, what are you doing as a tantrika? What are people of this lineage doing? Because it's all intervening, okay? But what all paths lead to in the end is that feeling of liberation. And what we mean with liberation is not so much any feeling of, okay, like I want to be compassionate and I try to be compassionate, and after a while I'm getting there. No, it's like we are facing all of the stuff that lies in between us and the natural expression of compassion. And what lies between us and our natural expression as liberated beings. And when we're not liberated, when we're not free, we are actually not, how can we say, when we talk about the world peace of the world, like the world peace of humanity, we cannot bring that about as long as we ourselves are not free, right? So, and Tantra really wants to give us that gift of realizing what it means to be free. Not free of anything that happens in the outside, but the biggest enemy is really inside, right? So how can we be free of all of these belief systems, of all of these structures that are given to us by society, all of these things that make us tight and make us not understand that we are full already, that desire to feel complete in the moment, that desire to feel that richness in each and every moment cannot be there as long as we have parts that are fighting against each other in ourselves. So in Tantra, we work with many different modalities. So first of all, we are increasing our capacity to focus. We want to be able to be there, because no being can be in the moment and be liberated if our mind is distracted full on. And we are practicing in our society distraction all the time. We are not practicing focus. So focus is one thing we need to practice. The other thing, we work with sexual energy, with the Kundalini energy. Sexual energy has nothing to do in the first place with sex in and by itself, right? It has something to do with how free are we in our erotic expression, in this, in our sexual energy. How free are we there, and how many burdens do we have there? Not even in the sense of how freely do we have to express ourselves in sex, but how freely can we allow that energy to flow through our body? How much can we enjoy it? And how much freedom can we give that energy? And there, the sexual part plays a role, because as long as we have things that tighten us and things that we feel inadequate about ourselves, it makes the energy not flow freely, right? There are blockages then if we feel any sense of inadequacy in sexuality. So that is what we have to face when we work with the Kundalini energy. And of course, there are a lot of energy centers that are related to different parts of our reality that you go through. The third part is mostly the shadow work. And that is basically what Neil was referring to a lot. And that is also why Tantra is maybe the fastest path to liberation, because we are not going the way around. We want to face everything that is there head on. So for us, or for people who practice Tantra, it's really about that consumption of that which makes us unliberated. So whenever we feel there is something where there's this kind of, maybe the fear of rejection, maybe the fear of not being good enough, the fear of not being able to receive, all of these things, we take those things and we move into it. And that is exactly what Neil was talking about, when you actually start seeing all of these shadows as it's like on the plate, you just see all of that. And that is also why this path is not for everybody, because it can be quite intense to look at yourself and to be like, wow, all of this is actually keeping me from really being who I am, from really expressing that which I feel I want to express. It is holding me back. And when we keep being in that space, we hold it back until we die. And that's what we don't want, right? We want to feel as alive and as liberated as possible before we die. So we want to die before we die. The idea about what we have, we are, all the security mechanisms, they have to die in order for us to be liberated in that life. And then again, I want to make a little bit of a distinction, because a lot of times in the spiritual field, liberation has something to do with, I need to go out of my body. I need to go out and I need to transcend everything. And then we become kind of robotic, because we have all of these ideas about how transcendence feels like. In Tantra, we do it differently. We want to go, we know that we have to go through the body to transcend. So we use this body, this beautiful body, as a machine to actually transcend the things from the most beautiful and natural place, which is we face all of that is there. So for example, we don't believe in we can transcend anger by avoiding anger and by telling ourselves, I'm not an angry person. No, we as tantrikas, we feel, okay, there's anger. I go fully in, I experience what happens. And I feel how inadequate I am in that expression. And if I go fully in, if I can fully digest it, then the fear is gone. And then we can transcend it. And the same is with sexuality. In sexuality, there's so much of a potential of, first of all, experiencing a high version of ecstasy, of bliss, through the energy moving through both bodies. But at the same time, it is really about how much is your mind occupied with all your sexual imprints, everything that you think about. How much does your mind, is your mind fixated on those things that you believe are not right or that you shouldn't think about? How much energy does that take from you? So can we actually face all of these things? Can we look ourselves into the eyes and see, okay, that's what's there? Can I face it? Can I face the perceived inadequacy of my being fully? So much that I can go fully in and I can fully perceive the wholeness of myself. And can I accept that humanness from a place that makes me actually more alive and that allows me to be all of that, to not be attached anymore to I am and I'm not? Can I allow that energy, which we call Shakti in Tantra, can I allow that energy to flow through my body freely? And can I be so aware that I can watch it as a happening instead of
All right, I'm gonna jump back on here because I believe Isabel's camera has frozen. So let me just check real quick. Yeah, it has. Okay, we'll wait for her to come back on. I'm gonna shoot her a text, and I'm gonna just continue with my experience of what I've learned from the divine polarity teachings that we did. Let me just text Isabel real quick. Okay, so hopefully she comes back out in a second, and let me just check who is in the chat here. Hello, Colleen. Hello to everybody. So this work that I've been doing with Isabel for ever since November of last year, a few of the things that I learned from my first Tantra experience was the divine polarity of what it means to have the masculine energy, what it means to have the feminine energy. And I would say that, here's Isabel now, and I'll just finish off what I'm saying because I was in the middle of it. There was a few things that came up during that. Hey, Isabel, I'm just finishing.
okay.
I'm just sharing something really quick, and then you can take over again.
Yes.
And your camera's tilted. You can tilt it around.
Well, this is the organization of a tantrika somehow, I guess.
There we go.
Okay, well,
so
I'm back.
I was just sharing about what I was understanding about divine polarity and how from all the things that I learned, I'm just going to share two. There's like maybe 5 of them. But one thing was the alchemizer, the masculine energy being the alchemizer, and also the mountain. You know, there was something you shared with me when I was going through a lot of anxiety and stress, and I told you like how I wanted to resort to my old vices in order to mitigate that stress. And then you said to me that, are you doing those vices to be fully present with it and to enjoy it, or are you doing it to escape? And the whole thing is with the masculine energy, this rage, the anxiety, this pain, the struggle in the world comes towards you. Are you able to be the mountain and stand in your truth, which is a whole presentation on its own, and alchemize the rage and be present with it? Or do you start stepping away and looking the other direction from it to distract yourself from it? So, you know, that was just one little thing I wanted to throw in there that I've really been learning and leaning
into. Yeah. And that's beautiful, because that's basically a short version of the things that I said. It's like, are you ready to face life full on? Are you ready for that? Because there are different ways how people perceive to be able to reach a liberated state. For example, in a monastery, you can sit in mountains and, you know, all of these things. So it's a very distinct path, which is just for those who are ready to devour all of life. And that's also why it's the hardest path. And that's also why it's the quickest path. Because you will not come out of your cave after 20 years and face society and then be like, oh, well, this is different than mountains, you know, but it's really about the ability of being, of wanting to face everything in life in order to transcend the idea that you know better with what is right and what is wrong for you. And for that, the idea of who we are has to die. And that death is very painful. And not everybody wants to go through that death. And that's okay. Not everybody is meant to go through that death. But there is a distinctive group of people who want to feel that, who want to feel that which is beyond their idea, who want to feel the beauty in each side. Like, it's not even a side if we move closer to that, but of pain and pleasure, of the good and the bad. Can we transcend that idea that bad and good really exists? Because do we really know? But for that, we have to let go of that idea, what we need in that life. Can we surrender to that which is there? And then when it comes to polarity, which I think will speak a little bit more about in the next call, is really, we don't do too many polarity practices because we want to have nice relationships. Well, that can be a nice side effect, but it's really about, okay, what kind of wounds do I hold against the masculine? What kind of wounds do I hold against the feminine? How much does it distort my life? How much do I manipulate my own life in order to make these wounds happening again and again? Because that's what our subconscious does. If we are, if we're convinced that men are bad, we will always create the situations where we can experience again that men are bad. So that's not a state where we can actually be free and feel liberated. It's not possible. So the most potent way of really facing these wounds is, of course, when we are coming together and we face it each other and we stand across each other and we watch each other in that pain. And that is so potent, because in that state of pain and in that state of trauma and all of these things, you are observed by people and they're not going anywhere. They are recognizing themselves in you. They are like, I know this pain and I'm standing here and I watch it. I look it into the face with you. And can we, through that, experience a new narrative of, wow, the feminine does not leave when I'm in that pain. All of the traumas that we have kind of get reprogrammed. And that is so important, because a very big corner of our life is relationship, is the masculine and the feminine. It's so huge. I mean, there's a whole bunch of our economy works a lot on all of kinds of different examples on the beauty industry, why women want to be beautiful for men. Then men, there are all kinds of things that I don't support that much, like the porn industry. And but it's needed in order for us to realize what we really want and what not. But to just see that the way in how we are relating to each other is crucial for the experience of inner freedom. Can we love even though we might know we are going to be rejected? How much does our surrounding, how much do our ideas about rejection and avoidance and all of these kind of things keep us from fully loving, from that feeling of richness from the inside? Or how much do I still seek it from the outside? Can I be that first? And then you can move on to really do practices that are more going into the sexual area, where you really start playing with energy and increasing it in the body. But this is not so much the focal or the core of the teaching. The core of that teaching is really, how can I become liberated in that life? how can I become as expressed naturally as I can? Like if I really go fully into the acceptance of what is there, if I fully accept life with all of its nasty parts and good parts, bad parts, all of it. If I'm that free, who would I be? What is that potential that lies in me? What does it want to express? And that's why we're trying to rip off everything that is in between that. And that is why these retreats are so beautiful for that, because we have each other to mirror the wounds towards each other. Because when we are sitting by ourselves, it's very hard to actually see our mind and the tricks of our mind. But if we have mirrors and we really deeply go into that, then this profound way of how Neil called it, to really see and to really have it there and confronting yourself with it and not having any capacity to hide if you actually want to move through. And so yeah, I think that is really the most vital part of it, the part of how free can I become, how and what waits for me in that freedom, right? And the biggest distinction of, can I be a flower who allows herself to be imperfect right now, and knowing that this flower, when it blooms, it's perfect all the way, but we don't see it yet because it's still closed, and we think all of the open flowers are so beautiful. But can we accept this beautiful flower already when it's still closed, and then can we let it open naturally, and can we accept it all the way? Or is it more about, okay, I need to be this flower now, I have to put it open and I'm going to pretend that I'm that flower. Maybe I'm putting a few strings in it that it keeps being open. So that's the difference, can we become that by going through the process, inviting it all in, facing it all, instead of trying to be something that we are not? Can we come to that point of love, compassion from a very natural, beautiful place? And yeah, I think that is how I would describe Tantra in a way that is pretty much far away from what Tantra is in all of its corners, but it's that which I would see as the core from my own experiences and from the retreats. And yeah, maybe Neil, you want to say something regarding that?
I'd love for you to talk about the fact that there is no an ideology to Tantra, because people believe it's this one thing. And what's happened now, and that's going to be part of my presentation at the retreat, is how all these spiritual beliefs, mainly from India, all coalesce into one belief system now, and it's interchangeable. But Tantra there's multiple deities, right? Kali Tantra is just one aspect of it. Kali Tantra has a left and right path, and then there's all these other tantras. So to ever say Tantra is this is really kind of is not giving reverence truly to the diversity of what it is.
No. Yeah, and it's absolutely, like, even if we speak about left-handed Tantra, right-handed Tantra, there are so many different ideas about how you can actually make sense of it. There is no way of making sense of it, because even you can try, to say, okay, this is more the left-handed part, this is more the right-handed part, this is more Shakta Tantra, this is more the path of Shivaism. There are different paths. However, they intervene all together. Like, you cannot make distinctions how our mind would like to make distinctions. And that is maybe already the first introduction into this practice. You cannot grasp it with your mind. You cannot make a logical decision, okay, until here, this is left-handed Tantra, and here, this is right-handed Tantra. And I, in my personal experience, I think a lot of these words were just put into it to make some sense out of it, which is a nice attempt, but it is really the richness of it all comes together as you move into it, because you will automatically, maybe after a few wrong paths, but you will come eventually to that place where you feel, this is my path. this is where I belong. And then you move deeper into it, and it can be that it is more Shaktism, which we are actually doing on the Kali Tantra retreat. What that means is we just work with the feminine energy, and with the feminine energy we don't mean the feminine in the sense of woman, but we come from a place that is really energetic. So we move into all of that which seems to maybe not always be so domesticated. So we want to move into that wild and free expression of what that energy can look like. Because a lot of us are very numb in our society nowadays. So we have a lot of numbness. We must feel that energy first again. How does it feel if I feel that emotion? Can I let it go through my body? So, and that's why we have these different goddesses to remember these energies within us, and to remember that wisdom that comes with that. So when we speak about Kali Academy, it's not that we are worshipping a goddess outside of ourselves. It is much more that we are realizing that that energy is part of ourselves. And eventually when we allow ourselves to really go into the wisdom of her, we might remember ourselves to be that. And that is maybe a beautiful distinction in Tantra. So what we are really doing is a non-dual path. So we don't see, okay, this is the deity and that's me, and I'm praying to that because I want to receive wealth, or I don't want to suffer. That's not what we're doing. We are going and we're moving through the different deities and the different goddesses, the different Shakti, the versions of Shakti, to remember who we are, right? And a dual path is more what you see a lot in India as well nowadays, where people are worshipping a deity without really seeing it as themselves. So that is a huge distinction. And so what we are doing is really, we want to express that. And that's why it's always also sometimes so weird and so painful, because these expressions are really strong. So if you, I don't know if anybody of you saw the picture of Kali, there are a lot of beautiful mandalas of Kali, but she always has this head in her hand. And that means she's ripping off the ego. So she's ripping that off, and she's wild and she's naked, and she has all of these skulls around her neck. And it's like, when we look in our society, that energy right now is really needed. We need to feel that energy again, in order, because you can also not be in consciousness, you cannot be in meditation, you cannot be that Shiva if the energy is not alive in your body, right? So you really want to bring, that's the goal in another sense, to bring Shiva and Shakti together. You can only be awake in the moment when you can be conscious and watch yourself, and at the same time this energy can rush through your body. That's the state of Shiva and Shakti meeting. That's the state of liberation. And that's what is taught in so many different lineages, and even not only Tantra, also other yogic lineages, you know, even in like that these two meet, the coming together of Shiva and Shakti, the consciousness and the energy. Because if you observe yourself and you try to meditate, you become sleepy. So it needs that urgency and that pure energy rushing through your body in order to be there, in order to be fully in the moment. And that's what you really want to achieve. And of course, so there are different paths to get there, and in the end, everybody wants both to meet, but not every path leads to the same goal, but not every path is made for every character. So you can give the same path to two people, and one will experience huge, immense aliveness, and the other one will probably lose his mind, you know? So there are distinctions in for whom which path is. And and that's mostly a decision of feeling into it yourself, and of course of a teacher seeing if you are ready to hold that intensity. And that's maybe also something that you faced in the retreat, learning that intensity is nothing bad in and by itself, but you have to learn how to hold it.
Yeah, because it's an intense world, and because of certain luxuries and comforts and the ability to escape from certain things, and all these tools to hide into it, and the fact that so many people are all distracting themselves and hiding into it, we've normalized numbness, and to the point that it's a part of society, and which is why depression's on the rise, sickness is on the rise. So the only way to really to be in a state of joy, real true inner joy, is to feel it. And again, that's part of also what I'm going to present on. And I would love for you to speak on this, because from what my research in India, there was all these different practices on basically achieving some sort of enlightenment. It was like a playground for all these different ways about it. And Tantra was an answer to, a lot of people in the elite class, the Brahmins. They were able to spend time because they had the ability, the money, the time to basically connect with source, and have to not even spend time in this reality, but go into this other world. And Tantra was something that came from the commoners, that also known as the householders, that they were basically looking for a way to be able to still engage in the world, but also get to a state of consciousness. So Tantra is what's needed now, because we're all really engaged in this world of so much activity and stimuli. So it's the tools. Like, if you were to simplify it to one thing, it would be to experience life fully and to feel the sensations of what it is to be human.
Exactly. And also finding that deep inner joy, and it's nearly like sometimes it's really like an orgasmic state of just being, and of just feeling the mess of being human, and if you can come to that place of devouring everything, and it's that beautiful play of accepting humanness and seeing your godliness at the same time, and through that being in that deep state of enjoyment of being human, and even being able to fully experience really deep pain and all of these things as an observer, but fully participating at the same time. And as you said, when we go through to this idea of the householder, it's really a really beautiful teaching, which makes you able to still participate fully in life, but just from a different sense of perception. So the only thing that you change is how you look at things. So you don't try to get rid of everything that you are, like if you're, addicted to something, if you are still super focused on sexuality, if you're super focused on how people think about you, it's not about eliminating these things. It's about adding the consciousness and the energy to it in order to see it and to move through it, so that you can end the cycle fully without rejecting it. It's like you experience that cycle fully, because what happens with that numbness, we go through the cycle again and again and again, and we don't see it, and we find ourselves hanging there forever. But if you see it and you move through it, and you allow all of the experiences that have to be experienced with it to move through you, then you can actually close that circle, and you find yourself in a different place without actually trying to really do something. I don't know if that makes sense from listening to it, but
it makes sense to me. The whole Kali energy, and I'm going to get into now talking about what the experience is going to be for the Kali retreat. And so I want to share one of the experiences I had there. I'm not giving away any trade secrets, right? If I share it.
No, you can go.
All right. First of all, a new analogy came to me yesterday about Shiva Shakti. And I don't know if you've heard this one, but Shiva, Shiva is no thing, right? It's nothingness. It's the one, it's the void, right? Shakti is the divine dance of creativity and energy and expression. So Shiva is the eye of the storm, and the Shakti is the storm around it. But the eye and the Shakti live together, and it's almost like a black hole. The black hole is in the center, and all of the creation is around it, but without the stillness over there being the container for the Shakti to run wild, the storm doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Thought that was a
Yeah.
cool analogy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to share one of the experiences, and there's so many profound experiences, guys. And so now we're segueing into talking about the retreat, and we're creating a level 2 Tantra retreat. There is a level 1 before that, right? You're going to be doing level 1 too?
No, there's not one happening before that anymore. However, if people are interested, we will probably offer like an intro to level 2 for those who are really interested and want to come and didn't do the level 1. We will have a little intro for the ones who didn't yet go to the level 1.
Perfect, because I'm completely aware that most of the people tuning in on our platform probably has never done this before, and don't fret it. Even though it's level 2, the only thing I can guarantee you is how intense it's going to be. So it's going to be it's going to be intense, but it's not like you can't do it. Okay, we'll do the intro. We'll also have a Zoom call beforehand with people who have not done this work before, and it's an extra day, and we're just going to go deeper. So if you're ready to really transcend and transform and ground yourself, literally anchor yourself into your body, know what it means to be human, know what it means to be a man, to a woman, and how to interact with yourself, right? And and then express that into the world. Basically, this is the real work right here, right? This is the real work. And Portal to Ascension, we do so much information, so much education. We definitely do meditations, but this is the embodiment, probably the number one thing that I could even recommend out of the thousands of different events we've done for you really to create some real lasting change in your life that is really challenging to go back from once you have this perspective. So I'm going to show you the website again in a second. It's kali-academy.co, and I'll show you the retreat site there. But I highly recommend that you guys tune in and join us if you can. It's going to be in Tulum, Mexico, and December 8th. Is that right? Easy?
It's 9th until 12th.
Okay, 9th and 12th. Okay, so now I'm going to share one of the exercises, the most memorable one that I tell everybody about. So we were doing this. So all the men lined up, and then all the women had to choose, a man to line up in front of, right? And I'm going to tell you the whole thing, including the insecurities in my mind as this was all happening. So every time I closed my eyes during this whole retreat, and women had to pair up with men, I got to admit, I always had that little child within me as a young kid where no one chose me, didn't choose me to be on the play football, soccer with them. They didn't choose me to do so many different things. I was always left out. And then I've had this relationship with women where I felt abandoned by them my whole life. So every time I would close my eyes and a woman had to choose me, that came and was a reflection. Oh my God, who's going to choose me? No one's going to want me. And it's funny enough, over half the times this happened, no one chose me. It was like a complete reflection that brought that to the surface, right? So finally, there's this woman in front of me, and this is the Shakti dance ritual that we did, one of the exercises. And the whole thing was the man walks closer to the woman, right? And however the woman feels, she can embrace you, she can come closer to you, she can want you to come closer to her, she can move away. So in this moment, all of her traumas around men and just being approached and whatever is going to come to the surface, or she might be so open that she's ready to receive it. So I start walking towards who I was partnered with, and immediately, first step, boom, she turns away like this, like with her eyes, like in the corner of her eyes, looking at me straight away. Oh my God, nobody wants me. What did I do wrong? No woman will ever like me. All this stuff came to the surface, and so then I'm going forward a little more, and I'm in my mind like, what am I going to do? How are we going to start this whole thing? And the exercise is to eventually connect and to then do the Shakti Shiva dance, right? Where we're like dancing around, and the man as the sacred container for the Shakti to be herself. That's the dance that we're doing. So I started going closer, and at one point she turned away from me. I was like, well, what do I do? I just got to surrender. So I just put my hand out. Okay, I just put my hand out, and it was just an inviting hand, like, hey, it's okay, I'm here, right? And that shifted things. She put her hand into my hand, and then, slowly but surely, we ended up swaying, rocking. And then she started getting all excited and giddy, right? And she started jumping around like wee, jumping around in circles. And then I was excited because I was like, yes, I freaking did it. Like I got through to her. She's and we're having a good time. So I started doing what she was doing as well, jumping around, right? So now the exercise is over, fast forward. And then Isabell goes, Neil, can you get up here? I want to use you as an example. And she goes, what happened during your experience? And at first I didn't really understand and get that anything was off. But after a little bit of probing from Isabell, she said, and also realized that what happened was, as soon as she felt comfortable with me, I allowed myself to match her energy instead of allowing myself to be the container and anchored in what I wanted. She was all giddy and childish, like we're in a Disney movie, right? And I started jumping around like that as well. Like, yes, I finally did it. And whatever she wanted, I did. My people pleaser came out. My
Yes.
wanting to serve women in a way that doesn't serve myself. Okay, it's different want to serve women, but in a way that also neglects myself. All of those things came to the surface. So then, so Isabell goes, all right, so we're gonna do a practice with you and me, right? So she has the DJ play Britney Spears' "Oops, I Did It Again," right? And it was like freaking blasting music, and then she just goes, I don't know, like the most wildest dance routine I've ever experienced. But she literally just like in the most beautiful dance, like just throws herself at me, jumping all over me, like basically like almost like crawling all over me and swinging around me is how it felt. And in the Shakti dance, and so much so that she completely surrendered to me in a way that if I didn't step up, hold her, do this, move around, like a crazy man. I was like all over the place. If I didn't do that, she would have fallen, right? And so it was just, I was so in the moment and so like, I couldn't be in my head. And then when I was done, there was almost a standing ovation. Everybody was clapping, and I didn't even know why they were clapping. I'm like, and everybody's all congratulating me, and I'm like, what? And basically, the lesson in this was that the Shakti was so wild in that moment, right? The complete expression of the Shakti energy, that I had no choice but to step up and be present for the woman and be the container. Because if I didn't, she would have fell. She would not have been able to sustain her Shakti energy. And that was just one out of like maybe like 10 to 20 different exercises we did that really gave me a huge perspective on what it means to be that container, and what it means to really honor what I want in myself, and to stay anchored in what it means to be a man. So yeah, it was a beautiful experience. And right when I said that, Isabell's camera has gone off again, so we'll wait for her to come back here one more time. So these are some of the exercises. I'm not sure if we're gonna do that one in particular, but we'll be doing a lot of different exercises because this is gonna be level 2. So there will be some of these and then more. There's gonna be a lot of breath work. One of the breath work exercises we did was literally just breathing, looking at our partners, into our partner's eyes, putting our hands over our head to the point where it's so uncomfortable, but we continue doing it, and just doing those kinds of exercises, you can feel in those moments, it rewires your brain. So that's what I wanted to share, Easy.
Thank you. So beautiful. And yeah, it's like, a lot of these practices, when we talk about them, it's like, how could a practice where you hold your hands and you do different breathing exercises do so much with you, but it's the depth of going through the practices. And that's why it's said again and again, Tantra is for practicing. It's not for reading about it. It's not for even us talking about it. You can feel the energy of it when we speak about it. But our words might make sense in some way, but it's really about the experience of going through. And for everybody, who's ready to experience themselves on a deeper level and really are ready to face that which is there, which can be painful, just in order to be here now fully, they should come.
Yeah, and this, I'm just showing the website right now as well.
Beautiful.
Isabell's talking,
Yeah.
I'm showing one of the videos here. Honestly, it's so powerful. And so hope to see you guys there. Here's the website. Again, it's in the description. It's tagged as well, kali-academy.co. Click on the retreats page and go ahead and read this information here. And then here is the one that we're doing, Kali Tantra Retreat Level 2. We're in a beautiful location as well in Tulum. And if you haven't been down there before, it's the Mexican Caribbean. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. I've been to many places and truly love it there. So you're going to be in just this beautiful surrounded environment with practitioners there to support you, with some amazing people there to do the inner work as well. And it's going to be incredible. I'm not only looking forward to facilitating it, I'm really looking forward just to being a part of it and receiving the gifts that this retreat has to offer. And Isabell, do you want to say anything else about kind of what they can expect?
Oh yeah, I would love to say that you know, especially in these fields of Tantra, there are a lot of you know, there like where people concentrate a lot, like this is called New Age Tantra. Also here the different areas are quite not really perfect to see, but the distinction is that in New Age Tantra we focus a lot more on the pleasure aspect, on, you know, cuddling, all of this kind of stuff. And this is really not that. Like, we are not doing that. We're really going and we want to look at ourselves and we want to get to that space of inner liberation, and that is it's really head on, it's really fully into the depth of ourselves. And I also want I want you to just feel into it, because you will feel if this is something for you, if you are ready to do it now, because this is basically, we can do it in 10 years, but we can also do it now, because also now the planet needs that. And to be open to go into that depth of ourselves. And I think what Neil was just talking, this is a safe space. We are actually having the masculine and the feminine quite separated in the sleeping and everything, so there's no focus on sexuality or sex in and by itself whatsoever. So just know that this is not what we are focusing on. We are focusing on the coming together of Shiva and Shakti in the outside and in the inside, from a place of energy. We really work with energy, right? And and the place we are is beautiful. It's in the jungle. The jungle is very rich there. It's very a fierce energy, which helps us to go really deep. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm looking so much forward already.
And just to read these little these bullet points here, just to kind of give you some more insight: decoding darkness and death, tasting fearlessness, taboo initiation and nakedness. And when you talk about nakedness, you're talking about vulnerability, right? Being completely raw.
Being completely raw.
Dive into tantric history. So I'm excited for this for many reasons, everybody. But I'm also excited for it because I've worked with Isabell for a good amount of time now, to the point that now we've become friends. You know, we're from student teacher to actually friends, and like we, you know, one of my Isabell's one of my favorite people. So not only are you going to like get to be a part of this event, but you're also going to be with someone that I hold very close to my heart and really is doing this for the right reasons. And so I have the opportunity to be a part of this retreat, which is another milestone. So if you're a Portal to Ascension fan and you attend events of ours that are milestone events, because a lot of you out there love to be a part of those moments, this is one for us, where hopefully it's going to continue being something that we grow into. And I'll be providing insight on tantric history, a couple different presentations. So this is full circle: education, embodiment, practices, vulnerability, diving into devotion, learn how to transform the feminine energy as the masculine, establishing sexual energy in the body, moving that energy around the body, moving the energy through each other's body, facing your inner demons, embody Shiva and Shakti inside. You know, Isabell when I got into this, I thought, you know, I knew sex wasn't all of Tantra, but I thought it was more than now I realize. And I realized that tantric sex, yes, that exists. That's a thing. But what tantric sex is using Tantra practices in a sexual situation. It's not really its own modality, if you will, even though it's become like that. So Tantra in itself really is about the sensations of just being human, every sensation of being human. And yes, sex is one of them, right? But it's no more than the other elements of what it means to be human. And if you're ready to fully embrace this human experience in a way that that you are able to transcend and be the observer of the pain, but also feel it at the same time. And this is one of Isabell's and my favorite words, that embodying the paradox, embodying the paradox. If you're ready to embody the paradox, then this is what this is going to be for you guys.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, beautiful. And also just, you know, if you find yourself a lot in thought patterns about the masculine always shows up like this in my life and the feminine always shows up like this in my life, like all of the judgments, or I'm always getting rejected, like if there are stories in your life happening again and again, these are actually going to be faced there. So this is what we are looking for. This is perfect. If you have a lot of judgments on the outside, come there too to break through them.
I'm excited for that, because as I shared with you, we haven't spoken in a week, but I'm realizing that all of these situations that happened to me the last few weeks have been feminine wounds for me, feeling betrayed and abandoned by the feminine, right? And it's come to the surface so much that it's just nonstop, one thing after another. And so that's something that I'm really excited to focus on at this retreat.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
So any closing words, Isabell?
Well, I mean, for me, there's no other part that makes life so juicy and so that it's so rich. And I can just say, like, if you have a slight hint in your body that this is for you, then I'm super happy to share that with you and to make you feel that too, because it's just life gets more and more exciting.
Yes, and beyond anything that, you know, beyond the fact that we're doing this retreat, we really hope this is how we do everything at Portal to Ascension, that you really get something out of this show in general, just the information that we're providing, something that you can incorporate in your life. And then the next one, you're going to go even deeper into the divine polarity. So these are like mini workshops, and, you know, please do attend or check out Isabell's content, but just share this information out. And if this resonates with you, you know, then maybe you can start incorporating some of these principles into your own existence.
Yeah, and also we share some practices, so just try to go a little bit into it and just feel what it does to you.
Yes, so we just launched 2 days ago on Portal to Ascension YouTube, guys. The stories, go to the stories and there's one practice there now by Isabell, and in a couple of days there'll be a second one, and a few days after will be a third one. So we're also providing some tools for you guys just to utilize. Okay. So, all right, that's it from us. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Neil with Portal to Ascension. I just also want to say that we have a podcast as well, Portal to Ascension Radio. We're on episode 500. So if you guys want to check out our content but are not able to tune in on YouTube all the time, go to Spotify, Amazon, Audible, many different platforms, iHeartRadio, Portal to Ascension Radio. And I'm taking a moment to really say thank you to those people there, because I never mentioned the radio. So thank you to everybody tuning in on Portal to Ascension Radio. Please do leave us a review there, because we're trying to get more people. We need to increase our ranking on all the podcast platforms. And if you're on the podcast platform, come check us out on YouTube as well. We have a lot of good content here. So thank you, everybody, so much. Thank you, Isabell. I love you.
Thank you. Love you.